You're watching Global Trade This Week with Pete Mento and Doug Draper.
All right, hey, it is 2022 and we're back in the saddle. It's Global Trade This Week. I am your co-host, Doug Draper, and with me on the other side of the country is my main man, Pete Mento. Pete, welcome to 2022.
What's up, Doug?
Not much. We need to have a blooper show so we can let our audience know all the crazy crap we talk about before we go live.
Yeah.
Because you pretty much had me rolling on some of your cohorts and cronies that you grew up with. So thanks for that level of entertainment.
Yes, we need to do a Patreon version so we can do the show before the show and not have to worry about getting fired. Because the
Yes.
exploits of my best friend and musician friends, particularly the one who's in Denver right now, would be fantastic. He would kill me if I talked about him publicly, but I won't. And also, just our shared love of all things metal, Doug. I mean, you're more of a hair rock metal guy,
Correct.
and I'm more of a heavy metal, speed metal guy. But still, metal's metal as far as I'm concerned. It's all metal. I'm not one of those guys that looks down on it. I think we should do another podcast, another show where we talk about metal. I think it would just be you, me. We would make Keenan watch it to try to teach that boy something about music. But it would be a lot of fun.
Obscure references abound on that one for sure. So, and speaking of hair bands, I just heard on my drive into work today that David Lee Roth is canceling his farewell tours in Vegas. So you need to potentially cancel your trip to go see one of those final shows. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, that would really suck. I hope he's okay. I hope that he schedules it for another date, because that is, I tell everyone, if you only see one front man, from the 80s in your whole life, that's the one. He's incomparable. Like, there is nobody else that puts on a show like David Lee Roth. The guy's just amazing.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Doug, we'd have to go see that one together. That's a Pete and Doug and 3 cases of beer kind of I drink 2.5 of them. I don't know what else.
I'll shotgun a few. So
we'd have to get Keenan to drive, I think.
Yes, that's right. The road trip. So, but speaking of Keenan, all this wouldn't be possible without Cap Logistics. They're still pushing the buttons and turning the levers, and we really appreciate their support. We wouldn't be here without them. So caplogistics.com for all your supply chain needs. It's 2022. We're ready to rock and roll. New year, new ideas, new comments. As always, Pete, we're forward thinking. We don't talk about what happened in the past. So let's keep that mantra rolling, my man. What you got for our first topic today?
Yeah, no sooner had you and I gotten off our last show of predictions than I got a hair across my keister and put something on LinkedIn concerning the new American regulation concerning Chinese imports from the Xinjiang province, which is our attempt to try to limit imports that are going to benefit companies and benefit the Chinese Communist Party, effectively, wherein there could be some sort of financial benefit to the use of forced labor, particularly of the Uyghur people, and what has become, I would say, probably now about an 8-year attempt by the United States to try to limit the continued use of these people in what are alleged, which I still have to say, alleged use of these people in slave labor. We had an uproar this week on the Tesla people, on Elon Musk for opening up a showroom in Tesla in that province. We have had the good people of Intel had to actually put out a public apology for asking their suppliers to not purchase from that particular area. He immediately had to make an apology because China across the board said that they were going to ask people to stop buying from them immediately. Doug, I got a couple of problems with this. The first is I don't know how you're going to effectively enforce this. I'm not sure how you're going to be able to prove that something did or did not come from there. It's just too easy to transship out of China, and I don't expect that customs is going to be able to effectively enforce it. Second of all, the if we're that angry about this, why pick a region? Let's just sanction the whole country. Honestly,
Yeah.
it seemed to have gotten their attention last time when we slapped them with a pretty ugly tariff. If we're going to really be honest about this, if we really mean it, if we're angry about forced labor, and if we're angry about the way that they're treating people, any sort of ethnic issues like this, we should actually enforce it across the entire country. Now, that's just not likely to happen. It's 1.2 billion people, I believe, right now. It is the largest and most convenient and most supply chain friendly labor force in the world. It's also the fastest growing middle class. We're just not going to do it.
Yep.
So I can sit here and I can beat the table as much as I want about wanting to see change. I just don't think it's going to happen. And, as always, these are mine. They're not the opinions of my employer. But you can't, again, you cannot legislate patriotism. People are going to continue to buy things that are inexpensive and of a quality that they feel they can live with. Right now, a lot of stuff comes from China. They're not asking what province they're from. If you lined up 100 Americans and gave them a map of China and asked them to point out the Xinjiang province, they couldn't do it, buddy. They absolutely couldn't. They couldn't show you where Shanghai was. I doubt many of them would be able to effectively show you where southern China was, frankly. So, I don't know, Doug. I know you've got some pretty strong opinions about this as well, and it's just a really rough one to
Yeah.
open up the year with, buddy.
Yes. Well, it's relevant. That's what makes the show interesting and entertaining. But I think you nailed it. There was some comments when I was doing a little research on that this morning. The goods that are made in whole or in part, right, which is incredibly vague and could encompass every possible thing that would come out. I think there was a comment on your post from somebody that referenced in whole or part of goods. So that's pretty damn vague. I don't know how you're going to do that. And then the other piece is that I saw that was interesting to me is it said that you had to prove, and this is all happening quickly because it just went down yesterday, but the way I read it was that you had to prove your products were not made with forced labor, which, as you mentioned on the intro there, is pretty damn hard to do, validate where your product came from. I was thinking that it's kind of like you're fighting with your sibling and you need to prove that you weren't fighting. Prove to me that you weren't fighting last week, and then you can get some ice cream. Like how the hell do you do that? Right. So I think it looks good for a headline. Pete, you and I always talk about not wanting to be political, but it seems more and more our comments go back to that well. But I think it's a good brushstroke to get a headline. But how the hell are you going to enforce this, audit it, keep track of it? It'll be interesting to see if this just fizzles out or if there's some legs that help stand this up.
Let me one more thing to consider with that, Doug. Right? What if this is a setup by the U.S. government to give them another angle of enforcement? What if this is a way for an American company who's competing with a Chinese company to begin an investigation to force them to prove that their products aren't being manufactured in that region? I thought about that, but again, I don't know how you prove or disprove it, and the burden of proof is going to end up being on the importer. So, I guess we'll see.
Interesting. Yep. Well, definitely a good topic. So,
yeah.
Well, hey,
what you got,
my
buddy?
topic's my first one's short and sweet, and it's all related to headlines I've seen in the last 72 hours or 96 hours of this first year. Is that essentially the news footage is going to be the same old song and dance for 2022. Headlines that I've seen in the last 3 days: driver shortage looms, LTL full truckload, ocean freight rates astronomically high, no change. Chip shortage continue to impact the auto industry. Record profits for ocean carriers. It's the same thing that we've heard all in 2021. And you and I spoke about this whole thing is not going away anytime soon. So my first topic is pretty simple in the sense that same old song and dance, same song, new verse, however you want to put it in there. But it's more of the same in 2022, at least out of the gate.
Yeah, I'm going to say not only is it more of the same, but it is going to be probably worse when we come out of Chinese New Year, not better.
Mm,
And worse coming out of Chinese New Year, not better, because you now have the added pressures of other economies doing better. So you have
mhm,
competing economies that are coming after the same space. You have new technologies that'll be coming after those same chips. You have American consumers who are demanding new new products that are demanding the the inputs that they need in order to manufacture these things. I'm just telling you, Doug. It was all great when we were trying to restock shelves and people were just trying to replace things. Now they want new stuff and they want new
mhm.
versions of stuff and they want new generations of stuff as well as the old stuff. Um, I was, and I don't know, Doug. I don't know if you saw any of this, but when I was doing my shopping for groceries and when I was doing some of my last minute shopping, I guess, for Christmas,
Mhm.
and I would walk into a Target, I would walk into a sporting goods store, what have you. I don't know if it was just the greatest inventory management that has ever been done, and nearly all the shelves were just about empty right before Christmas of all the Christmas stuff and all the dog toys that you would put into a dog stocking, and all the winter coats were pretty much all gone. All the boots were pretty much all gone. Like it just seemed that all the seasonal things were gone. Was that
Mhm.
just because we really nailed it? Like we really nailed inventory, or it's because of the things that you just talked about? It's real broke.
Mhm.
it's it's really broke, and you're about to have a chance to replenish. And what we would normally use Chinese New Year for, which is a catch up, we're just going to replenish again.
Yeah.
And it's not going to get any better. And we've just got another year of smacking ourselves in the forehead with a board.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, I'm sure that topic will be discussed multiple times as the year progresses in a different form or fashion. So,
Yeah.
one of my favorite parts about this show, Pete, is halftime. So, what do you got going on? Give me
All right,
your
buddy.
take here on some halftime fodder.
Halftime brought to you by our good friends at Cap Logistics. We love Cap Logistics. Learn more about them at www.caplogistics.com. They're the folks that are kind enough to loan us our errant little misfit, our juvenile delinquent, Keenan, who is in the booth back in Denver when he's not busy watching South Park reruns on his Switch. He's you know, he's keeping the show going. We really appreciate it. How do you
Yeah.
make this contraption work? Get off my lawn. My only big topic is a pet peeve, Doug. I kind of I've kind of had it with being marketed to on LinkedIn by people I don't know. So here's where I'm at. When you are a selfless, shameless, I should say, a selfish, shameless self promoter like I am, who has built up quite a following on social media that I use professionally. My Twitter, my LinkedIn, those are professional. It's all I really post. I don't post anything on Facebook. Um, uh, I have a lot of followers. I've got like 14,000, 15,000. No, 20, was it 25,000? I don't know what it is. It's a lot of people, right? Every
You're just
day.
making up a number.
I should look, but I mean, Keenan can probably look for us. He's got nothing else to do. Keenan's probably eating Girl Scout cookies right now. I don't know. Every day I get 30, 35, depends. Messages from people all over the world who I've never met. Hi, Pete. Do you need containers for my day job? Can we help you with CFS space? You know what, Pete? You know what you need? You need help staffing. Do you need administrative help? Hey, Pete, could we get you as a guest on our podcast about any topic that isn't logistics? It could be anything from banking and finance to whatever. It has nothing to do with it. Doug, I am sick and tired of people I don't know selling to
Hmm.
me on LinkedIn. There needs to be a filter where if you're not like a connection that I have not literally had a beer with, you can't reach out to me. So it's gotten to the point where I really don't even look at my messages anymore on LinkedIn. Like if you don't have my email address or you can't text me, good luck finding me, dude.
Hmm. Yeah, well, that's the price of fame, my friend.
Oh, please. I think infamous, maybe. I mean, granted, don't get me wrong, Doug. I am a minor celebrity, and for
Yes.
like the 20th year in a row, I was disappointed that I was not named People's Sexiest Man of the Year. I have been working very hard for that title, but there's always next year.
Hmm.
What do you got for
Yeah,
us, Doug? What
yeah.
you got for halftime?
So mine actually popped up this morning, and my headline is the QWERTY is going kaput. QWERTY, QWERTY, was
ERTY.
kind of the
Yep.
buzzword when our favorite smartphone came out, the BlackBerry. Officially today, it rides off into the sunset. The legacy operating system that it operates will no longer be supported. No calls, no internet access, no text. When I first read that, I initially thought, who the hell uses a BlackBerry anymore? But it is interesting to see that it's finally riding the sunset. And BlackBerry hasn't even dealt with phones for like 3 or 4 years. I think they do security software or something like that. But anyway, I thought that was interesting, and I had to come up with a good tagline, which was QWERTY goes kaput, KAPUT. So there you go.
Do
So,
you
and then I'll leave it with this, Pete. What is the name of the company? They rebranded to BlackBerry, but BlackBerry was the phone. What was the name of the company that put the BlackBerry together? Do you remember what their name was?
I don't remember it. You're gonna say it, and I'm just gonna. What was it?
It, no, this isn't a joke. Research in Motion.
Yeah,
Do you remember
RIM.
that
I
Canadian
do
company?
remember RIMS.
RIM.
RIMS. Yep. Yep. Yeah. I had
Research in Motion. So,
I had my first BlackBerry real early. Once with KPMG, and I remember thinking, "Wow, this is going to be awesome! I can do my email on the train." What a moron! What a moron! Because I'm at the point
yeah,
now, Doug, where I wouldn't mind having a flip phone and doing everything else. My
yeah,
Christmas vacation was ruined by work. It was
yeah.
ruined by work. I tried to take 2 weeks off, and I probably worked 4 or 5 hours a day, even on Christmas.
Wow.
So it was
Hmm.
miserable. But
Yeah.
did you have an early BlackBerry, Doug? Were you a BlackBerry guy? I was a BlackBerry guy.
Nope, never had one.
No.
I can't remember the evolution of my cell phone progress, but never had a BlackBerry. But I think most people that are using a BlackBerry today are putting it down, and they're going to start communicating using fax machines and
Probably.
tin cans with strings, because that's probably the equivalent of where they're going to go next. But
Yeah.
anyway, RIP BlackBerry.
Well, that's a shame, buddy. All
Yeah.
right. Well,
All
my
right. What's your
second
second topic?
my second topic, pal. I'm gonna get a little worked up. So there was a joke, right? So there was a joke that made its way around social media where, and it, like a lot of things, it started just as a piece of satire, where someone had written a joke article where Jen Psaki, the press secretary for the Biden administration, as a this is a joke article, much like Babylon Bee or something, would write, said, if, as an American, if you're bothered at all by inflation, well, just simply stop buying things, right? So the inherent joke in that is, in order to avoid the sting of inflation, one must simply stop purchasing things, and you won't be bothered by it anymore. You know,
Hmm.
uh, behind the joke, though, there is a modicum of fact, and that modicum of fact, unfortunately, comes from what I feel is a lack of action that is being taken by a number of forces that really could take a bite out of inflation. We were so late to release the strategic fuel reserves, as an example, in the United States. We were late to put any pressure on OPEC. We were late to encourage, where we could, American fuel production, American energy resources, and exploration. There were many things we could have done there, as an example. Second of all, there are ways that we could have put a lot of effort and energy into encouraging dairy farmers, encouraging meat farmers, encouraging the lowering of prices through the use of federal payments to reduce the cost of a lot of the food products that have skyrocketed in the United States, that really would have positively affected the bank books of Americans while not negatively affecting farmers. didn't do it. And we've put so much prior effort into quantitative easing, into fiddling around through the Federal Reserve through these past two administrations. So in my opinion, this isn't political. Biden and Trump and Obama before him, and believe it or not, W before him, have done so much of it that it's difficult to actually call this political. That really the government has a lot to do with where we are with inflation currently. I still believe that a lot of this has to do with the supply chain, and we are going to see it getting better. But that doesn't help people right now that are taking a look at their gas tank, and when they're trying to fill it, are in some states paying darn close to $5 a gallon. And here in New Hampshire, where we don't tax anything, I don't pay income tax, and I don't pay sales tax, I'm still paying $3.90 a gallon for my gas, which a year ago I checked, I was paying $2.08. And at the time, I thought that was ridiculous. So, I don't know, Doug. I think that the government giveth, the government taketh away. Taxes keep going up. Services become less and less noticeable for people outside of the social safety net. And I'm wondering exactly where we're going to see some sort of relief that the government could actually provide on the side of inflation if it is in fact not transitory.
Interesting. Yeah, two comments on that. The second one you're going to love. The first one is I'm not an economist. So I want to preface that right here. But I'm wondering if the traditional methods to manage inflation, the things that we did in the 70s and the 80s, are really even going to do anything now, right? Everything moves so fast, and going back and coming up with a solution 50 years ago to say raise interest rates or mess with the monetary policy. Yeah, I think that'll help and improve. But maybe, I don't know the answer to this. Maybe there's something different. This is 50 years ago, and coming up with a solution that was applicable when the world was a much different time and place. I don't know if that's going to help fix, address the current realities that we're in. And then the second piece, Pete, is I wonder if crypto is going to be immune for any type of inflation, and will that drive more people and more interest in the cryptocurrency exchange? So
as you were talking,
like a watermelon.
Yeah, as you were talking,
watermelon I just threw up on your stage.
Yeah. As you were talking in the first part, I wasn't waiting for the second part, but as you were talking for the first part of your comment, all I could envision was Keenan back in the control room going, crypto, like foaming at the mouth. He's like, crypto. He has he's got the Bitcoin symbol tattooed on his chest. He's like, crypto, like all fired up, right? Cryptocurrency is an illusion. It is a pointless, delusional concept, probably created by the CIA or the Chinese government. I don't want to sound like some crazy person, but I'm starting to. I'm starting to believe all the craziness. It is a complete fallacy. It's a complete and utter fallacy, and sooner or later it will be. Keenan is throwing things in the control room right now. Anything that you want to put value in that other people will put value in can become a hedge against inflation if it can be converted into something eventually that you can use once you convert it. So whatever, Keenan. And then to answer the first part of your question, very much so, we have found ways to fiddle with the economy. But right now, the pressures on the Federal is not to mess with all of these people who are just getting rich off of selling their houses, right? And what that's doing to put wealth into the marketplace. There is going to be a reckoning with the housing market in America in 2 years. That's going to make the last housing. So I can ask anybody that used to see me speak when I was at Expeditors, and I would go on stage when I weighed 400 and something pounds, and I'd walk up on stage, and everybody was making money in the housing market, and be like, all right, well, it's going to be the end of our economy. And when it happens, major banks are going to fall. We may have a banking crisis. Like, I would go up there and say, this is the end. Like, this is the end. I'm trying to find a way to short the housing market. This is the end. This is the end. And I was talking about that in 05 and 06. And I was just like, it's coming. And they all thought I was insane. It's coming again. And when it comes this time, I'm not sure that we're going to be as cool about it when it happens this time, because it's going to be big, massive corporations akin to what's going on with Evergrande. And it's going to be glorious as an academic economist to get to actually study. But if I'm
Mm.
somebody who's invested in the market on that side of things, Doug, all the economic easing in the world, all the Fed Reserve stuff in the world, and owning all the Bitcoin in the world, it's not going to matter because the infrastructure of our economy is going to be tested to the brink. 2 years.
Mm. All right. Calling a shot. Calling a shot. Well, hey, my final topic is a little bit of prediction 2.0. I think I made mention of this, but again, reading some things in the last couple of days. The concept of LogTech, we talked about fintech and the financial technology, and the LogTech being the logistics technology that's being wrapped around our industry is going to absolutely explode in 2022. I think the PE world, private equity and money, those investors looked at 2021 and was like, holy crap, here's this old, antiquated, perceived to be heavy asset analog industry that has an opportunity to really come to the forefront, bring in some technology, and explode into a money-making machine. So I think you're going to see a lot of money wrapped around logistic technology. And it's going to be interesting because people are going to make money, right? When you bridge a gap or find a solution, don't be a hater when people that find the solution make money from it. That's called the American dream, and you shouldn't be penalized for that. I don't have a LogTech solution, so I'm not talking about myself. I'm just saying that there's going to be a lot of money wrapped around a lot of creative people, and a lot of technology that is going to help our industry. But don't be pissed off whenever people start making money and you hear all these unicorns and people jumping out there, because it will be plentiful. Ingenuity and money wrapped around it is going to be a big topic in 2022.
Yeah, and to take that a step farther, Bud, something I've been waiting on and I haven't really seen it yet. I think we're getting to a point now where some of these companies like Project 44 and these larger tech companies like Slink.io and these bigger ones, they've gotten enough momentum, they've solved big enough problems, and they've done amazing enough things, and they've got enough money behind them where I think they're going to start plucking some of these smaller ones and combining. So I think you're going to start seeing a lot of M&A activity as this private equity money starts to come in, and they're going to start building broader, bigger solutions, picking up smaller competitors, making that tech better and better as they bring in these other competitors and competing technology, and competing ideas, competing engineering resources. It's just going to get better and better, and you're going to have a more solid. Granted, there won't be as much competition with it, but what remains is going to be a couple of competing solutions for that problem, but they're going to be really solid. So over the course of the next couple of years, we're finally going to see some pretty cool, pretty slick stuff. It's going to be fun to watch. And I work in the e-commerce world. It's my bread and butter. It's night and day. It's what I do every day. And the stuff that comes across my radar that I get to see that people are constantly throwing at me, it's things that a year ago I didn't think was possible. And then 2 years ago, I didn't even know existed. So really, really neat to see how people are evolving and the kind of money that's being invested in it that's allowing that stuff to happen. Doug, you're spot on with that. You're spot on.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Well, Pete, before we go, I wouldn't follow my character on our yin and yang dialogue back and forth, but to pass along a well wish, happy new year to everybody. And I was listening to a song this morning. Actually, my son was cooking breakfast. He was getting ready to go skiing today, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers song came on. The song was called "Can't Stop." And there's the final line in the song, Pete. It says, "This life is more than just a read through." So I thought about that, and I said, I'm challenging and encouraging our listeners and audience to do something different this year. Do something that will embrace a challenge. You don't have to move mountains, and you don't have to have these monumental change. Just do something for 2022. This is your life, and your life is more than just a read through, Pete. It's more than just a read through. Make it happen. There you go. What do you think?
I love it, and I'm gonna piggyback on it. I love the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Doug. It's one of my favorite bands. So you touched me right here with that. And I'm gonna quote one of my favorite musicians, poets, writers, and people. Okay, so Henry Rollins, who was the lead singer of Black Flag, and he was also his own musician.
Yeah.
No such thing as spare time. No such thing as free time. No such thing as downtime. All you got is lifetime. Go. So best of luck for 2022 to everyone. I'm fired up for another year with Doug. I guess I'm motivated for another year with Keenan. We'll see. But I'm excited and blessed that the good folks at Cap Logistics keep putting their faith in us, and that Doug and I continue to have this opportunity, this platform to speak with all of you and to keep speaking our mind, and that you keep listening. And I can't wait to see you again, Doug, with another opportunity for us to talk about all those great things happening in global trade and logistics right here in Global Trade This Week. We'll see you then. See you, Doug.
Okay. Take care.